Good evening. By grace we meet the body without alarm. By grace we sit here in the presence of the invisible and let the visible do whatever it will do for a moment while we be still and know that I am God. I have watched bodies speak loudly and softly. I have heard their weather turn and settle again. And if I hadn't witnessed again and again the sufficiency of grace to quiet the mind and normalize the atmosphere, I could not sit here so quietly to say, we do not deny sensations, we deny their authority. We acknowledge the messenger, we refuse to crown the messenger king. There is only one power. You see, the body has a language: tingling, tightening, pulsing, heat, chill. We meet that language with reverence, not surrender. Reverence means we listen without bowing to fear's edict. Reverence means we allow the report to be a report, not a ruler. Surrender is when fear takes the microphone and begins its sermon of catastrophe. The question before us is simple and searching. How do we stop fear from governing the body experience? Not by arguing with the flesh, not by reciting denials with clenched teeth. We stop it by withdrawing the borrowed authority we have loaned to appearances and returning authority to the one power. The sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God, is our instrument not to slash at the body, not to hack at symptoms, but to cut the tether that ties our trust to what appears. Now let me be very clear, and I don't mean this as a human bravado. We honor wise, responsible care. If there is need of a physician, of emergency assistance, of skilled hands and trained minds, we are grateful to have them. This is not a contest of powers, not spirit versus science, not prayer against paramedics. This is not taking sides. Render unto medicine what belongs to medicine as wisdom leads. Render unto spirit your alliance, your governing trust, your first turning. Choose spirit as the first resort. Let grace set the tone, then act responsibly as you are guided. God's grace is our sufficiency in all things, and that includes the wisdom to pick up the phone, to rest, to follow careful counsel, without fear, without idolatry of matter, without scorn. I recall a young mother, let me call her Anna, who felt a storm rise in her chest one night. The mind rushed forward with its script of disaster. But she had learned one thing: pause, fear not, for I am with thee. She sat quietly in that word a few breaths, and then she did the next right thing. She called for help. While she waited, she did not argue. She simply refused two-power thinking. The storm softened not because she bullied the body, but because she refused to enthrone fear. Peace first, then procedure. That is the order of grace. From this hour, let this be our foundation. Meet symptoms with a holy respect, but deny them the throne. Live through the Spirit now. React only to the Spirit. One power, no rival, no second cause. Perfect love casteth out fear. Let love be the climate, grace the government, and responsibility the companion, not the competitor, of our alliance. And in that stillness, authority returns to where it has always belonged. Let us look, without drama and without scolding, at the loop that loudens pain. A neutral sensation appears nothing more than a flutter in the chest, a tightening in the scalp, a warmth in the skin, a hollow in the belly. The mind names it. The moment it is named, the next thought rushes in. What if? Then fear seizes the word and runs with it. And the nervous system, that loyal servant, hears the siren and does what it is trained to do. It mobilizes, tightens, floods, readies for a fight that does not exist. Take no thought for your life, the Master said, and yet thought piles upon thought until the thought becomes the weather. Attention narrows. The eyes scan for evidence. The ear hunts for the faintest tremor. The body, so obedient, so faithful, takes the cue from the watchman on the wall, and the wall becomes a prison, The heart hastens because a message has been delivered. Danger. The breath turns shallow because a command has been issued. Brace. Small sounds become cannon fire. Minor currents become tidal waves. Do you see the loop? Sensation, naming, fear, amplification, then more scanning, more naming, more fear, until the volume bears no resemblance to the original whisper. We do not fight the sensation. Fighting is just more fear and armor. We unplug the amplifier. We take the microphone out of fear's hand. How? By withdrawing the borrowed authority we have lent to the appearance and returning it to the one power. Be still and know that I am God. Be still does not mean be passive. It means change governors. It means let the word of spirit speak first so that the body receives a new instruction, peace. Remember, fear is not a healer. Fear has never healed a body, soothed a mind, or reconciled a home. Fear is the amplifier, not the healer. In that stillness, attention widens. You notice the sensation and the floor under your feet, the chair holding you, the rhythm of breath given you without your effort. You let the sword of the Spirit, not the sword of panic, divide between thought and truth. God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Power, love, a sound mind. Speak it softly within yourself. Smile at the symptom, not as mockery, but as a sign to the body that the government has shifted. The nervous system reads your non-fear as a green light. Stand down. And the volume falls because the plug has been pulled. I have watched this loop unwind in kitchens and hospital corridors, on trains and in sanctuaries. Sometimes the sensation remains for a season, but it no longer rules the room. Sometimes it fades like mist in sunlight. In both cases, the authority has been relocated, and that is the healing beginning. Our aim is not the anxious management of symptoms, but the quiet dissolution of fear's claim over them. From then on, it isn't difficult. If fear is the amplifier, and it is then to disempower it, we must see it as it is, not yours, not mine, not a power. In a moment we will take that up, and you will find how swiftly the weather clears when fear is known impersonally and grace is allowed to govern. Fear grips the world, not your home only, not your body only. Every boardroom, every hospital corridor, every pulpit, every border gate knows its whisper. It is a universal mesmerism, an atmosphere of suggestion that says, I am power. And because the race has believed it through centuries, it seems to have substance. But hear me, fear is not your private possession. It is not a secret flaw in you. It is not a personal guilt. It is the world's hypnosis. Once you see that the chains fall from your wrists, for you are not wrestling your own shadow, you are waking from a dream. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Stand still, not in paralysis, but in recognition. I will not accept a universal suggestion as my identity. The moment you depersonalize fear, shame dissolves, the struggle softens. You stop accusing yourself. Why can't I do better? Why do I feel this? And you begin to withdraw consent. You are not the author of the storm. You are the witness of the Christ in the boat. In that witnessing, speak gently, not with clenched teeth, but with the smile that signals non-consent. Thou hast no power. Do not shout it at the nervous system. Whisper it to the mesmerism. Smile at it. It is I. Be not afraid. Let that be the tone, the Master's calm upon Galilee, not your will hammering at waves. This is not suppression. We are not stuffing emotion into a cellar. We are refusing to lend fear our life breath. Fear inhales and exhales on borrowed air. Cut off the loan and it withers. Do you see? As long as you capitulate by arguing with it, hating it, dramatizing it, you are its ventilator. Withdraw the tube. Withdraw the attention that feeds it. If you must have a metaphor, let it be this. A fan spins and hums because it is plugged in. Pull the plug, and though the blades whirl for a moment, the hum is dying from the instant consent is withdrawn. So with this universal hypnotism, it has duration but no life. God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. From here the bridge is simple and sure. Once fear is known as no power, authority returns to one power. Not two powers warring in your chest, not spirit on one side and symptom on the other, but the government of the invisible, establishing peace in the visible. Live through the spirit now. React only to the spirit. Let the sword of the spirit not to hack at sensation, but to separate real from unreal, do its silent work. Perfect love casteth out fear, not because love shouts louder, but because love alone is real, and fear is borrowed breath. Return the loan. Return authority. Rest. And you will discover, as I have watched in rooms small and great, that when one power is acknowledged, the body's weather hears and begins to clear. There is only one power. Let that be said until it ceases to be a sentence and becomes an atmosphere. There is only one power. All causation is in the invisible. The visible is effect. We walk by faith, not by sight, because sight is always late. It reports after the fact. The invisible is the fact. The effect never instructs the cause, and the image in the mirror never changes the face that stands before it. He hangeth the earth upon nothing, and yet it hangs. So the body hangs upon the unseen government of life, breath, intelligence, order. When we take our hands off the mirror and return to the light, the image adjusts without our scolding. Understand me, the body is not a tyrant to consciousness. It is a temple to consciousness. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God? The temple does not govern the presence. The presence gives the temple its sanctity, its function, its quiet beauty. When the lamp is lit within, the windows glow without. When the lamp is feared, hidden, or thought to be outside, men begin to polish the glass in panic and wonder why the room remains dim. Do not enthrone the temple over the Shekinah. Do not ask effect to play God. Return to the one who lives in the midst of you, for in him we live and move and have our being. Two-power belief is the mistake that births the struggle. Spirit on one side, symptom on the other, two thrones, two scepters, two fears. The answer is no. There is not spirit and something else. There is spirit and the appearance of something else, a shadow with borrowed outline. Relinquish the second phantom power. Say within yourself, not to the flesh, but to the mesmerism, thou hast no power. Withdraw the homage you have been paying to appearances. Refuse audience to a second claim to authority. Stand still, not as a soldier braced for battle, but as a servant at rest in a sovereign who needs no defense. This is a posture, not a performance. Shift from resisting a thing to resting in presence. Live through the Spirit now. Turn to the Spirit for everything. React only to the Spirit. Let the word within you, the sword of the Spirit, divide between what merely shouts and what quietly is. Do not keep measuring the waves. Look to the Master asleep on the pillow and hear, peace, be still. In that recognition, I have watched the temple right itself. Breath lengthens, pulse steadies, thought clears, sometimes swiftly, sometimes slowly, but always as effect of a cause you did not engineer, the operation of grace. And here is the bridge we will cross further. When authority is rightly placed, methods find their rank. We need the sword of the Spirit, not the surgeon's knife as first resort. Not because instruments are evil, but because they are instruments of effect, not power. Let the one power be acknowledged as governor, then whatever tools wisdom employs will serve under that government, never as rival thrones. From that order flows a peace the body understands, and the visible yields to the invisible without a struggle. The sword of the Spirit is realization, not noise, not willpower, not a feverish recital of phrases. Realization, awareness of the one presence as the only causative agency. Take the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. The knife is an instrument. It can be sharp, it can be skillful, it can be useful as effect, but it is never the cause. The sword severs mesmerism from identity, the knife severs tissue. Do not mistake the one for the other. When I say we need the sword of the Spirit, not the surgeon's knife, I am not condemning the knife. I am setting the order. Spirit is first resort. Instruments, when wisdom leads, come forth to serve under the government of grace, never as a rival throne. This is not taking sides. This is not spirit against science, nor prayer against procedure. Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. By Spirit first, then, as the fear drains out and the inner government is acknowledged, you will find that whatever outward step is right becomes clear and unfrightened. Take the step as you are led, but withdraw panic, withdraw idolatry, withdraw the notion that a tool can do what only realization does. If the body needs rest, rest. If the counsel is to see a physician, go in peace, not in terror. If attention is called for, give it under grace, not under dread. Render to instruments their proper place as servants, not saviors. I can speak quietly here because I have watched this year after year. If I hadn't witnessed the efficacy of spiritual realization across sick rooms and seasons, I could not sit here so calmly and say it. I have watched the same procedure taken twice in two separate states of consciousness yield two different climates. With fear, a storm of complication. With realization, a surprising smoothness and swiftness. He sent his word and healed them. The word is not syllables. It is presence, felt, authority restored, government transferred from appearance to the invisible. In that atmosphere, a pill becomes a servant, a stitch becomes a courtesy, a scalpel becomes a tool, none of them a god. Make it practical. When a symptom shouts, do not lunge for the cabinet with your heart in your throat. Pause. Turn within. Be still. And know that I am God. Let the sword do its silent dividing between what merely shouts and what quietly is. Breathe the name of peace into the scene. Then, if you are to take a step, take it not to appease fear, but to honor wisdom. A step taken under fear multiplies fear. A step taken under grace carries grace into the room. This is the guidance principle. Spirit first, step second. Reliance first, remedy second. A man called him David was scheduled for a procedure. The first time, years ago, he entered as a hostage to dread. Everything felt jagged, every sound a threat. Recently, he learned another order. For a day he rested in, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. He smiled at the old narratives, said to the mesmerism, thou hast no power, and walked in quietly. The nurse later said, whatever you did, keep doing it. The whole room felt different. That was not magic. That was order. The sword preceded the knife. This is the bridge we are crossing. To live by Spirit, we must practice turning from the seen to the unseen. Not to neglect the seen, but to refuse its governance. Make the invisible your reliance, and let the visible become what it was always meant to be, effect obedient to cause. From then on, it isn't difficult. The sword of the Spirit first. All else follows. Now comes the quiet crossing. The shift is not dramatic. It is deliberate. Live through the Spirit now. Turn to the Spirit for everything. React only to the spirit. You will notice how the habit of the race has trained us to scan surfaces, numbers on a screen, color in a mirror, the angle of a brow, the rise and fall of a curve. This is not evil. It is late. Sight reports after the fact. We walk by faith, not by sight. Faith here is not a blindfold. It is inner seeing, the awareness of the invisible that forever precedes and governs the visible. So make the conscious transition from scanning surfaces to sensing presence. How? Pause the surveillance. Widen the lens. Feel the floor that bears you, the breath that moves you without your command, the quiet between sound. Turn within and let a sentence become a sanctuary. In him we live and move and have our being. Wait until that is no longer a verse but a felt weight, a governance. This is not human will. This is not positive thinking. Positive thinking rearranges furniture in a dark room. Realization turns on the light. I am speaking of the infinite, invisible, tangible as peace, substantial as quiet gladness, steady as law. He hangeth the earth on nothing, and yet the earth holds. So the body is held not by our anxious grasp of measurements, but by the unseen fidelity of life itself. Do not clench your jaw and try to believe harder. Relax the grasp and let yourself be met. Be still and know that I am God. Knowing here is not argument. It is acquaintance. It is the discovery that the presence that breathes you also governs you, that the law which flings stars into their courses orders the cells without your panic. As you abide, surfaces calm because government has shifted. The thermometer still reads, the monitor still ticks, the mirror still reflects, but none of these are thrones any longer. They are reports useful, not sovereign. From this moment, adopt the inward turn as your first reflex. Live through the Spirit now. Turn to the Spirit for everything. React only to the Spirit. Let the invisible become your alliance, and watch the visible take its rightful place as effect. In the very act of trust transferring, grace begins to operate as sufficiency. Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Then, if an action is to be taken, it rises clean, unhurried, without the acrid smell of fear. The same step taken under grace carries grace into the scene. And you will find quietly, repeatedly, that when the anchorage is the invisible, the body's weather reads the barometer and begins to clear. God's grace is our sufficiency in all things, not only in the paying of bills, not only in the mending of quarrels, but in the very weather of the body. Say it and let it settle. Grace is sufficiency in the cells, in the nerves, in the blood's rivers, and the breath's tide. My grace is sufficient for thee. Sufficient means enough, complete, without your anxious supplement. We do not purchase calm with effort, nor negotiate healing with promises. Healing arrives as gift when we rest in grace. The more you strive to earn it, the farther it recedes. The more you yield to it, the more it reveals that it was present before you asked. What is this yielding? It is not apathy. It is not resignation. It is holy receptivity. Quiet the theater. Turn from bargaining to beholding. Take a simple word of truth and let it be a doorway. Be still and know that I am God. Or, in him we live and move and have our being. Or simply, Abba, not as magic syllables, but as a placing of the heart. Loosen the will, unclench the jaw, lay down the measuring rod for a moment and sit within the sanctuary of the invisible. Let the attention rest not on the flicker of sensation, but on the fact of presence. In that resting, government changes. And when government changes, tone changes. And when tone changes, function often follows as sign. This is the outcome order of the kingdom. Peace first, then provision, realization first, then regulation. The kingdom first, and all these things shall be added unto you. I have watched bodies receive their marching orders from peace. The breath stretches itself like a satisfied child. The pulse remembers its cadence. The muscles lay down their arms. The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds. Keep means garrison, guard. Grace becomes a sentry at the gate, and the lesser alarms lose their credential. Do not reach for sensations to prove that grace is present. Let grace be present, and watch sensations align as the sign that follows. He sent his word and healed them. The word arrives as quiet authority. The healing appears as its echo. Make this your altar practice. Enter the inner room without fanfare. Offer no bribe, field no argument. Whisper the truth and listen. Listen until a soft certainty dawns, a sense, not an idea. From that sense, if an action is needed, it will be given cleanly. If rest is the order, rest will bear you rather than you bearing rest. If counsel is to be taken, it will be taken without dread. Grace governs the scene, and the scene yields, and here is the opening into our next step. As grace takes the throne, you will notice something almost humorous. The very symptoms that seemed to roar were speaking on borrowed volume. They were loud with our fear, bright with our attention, big with our consent. Withdraw the loan, and the voice drops. Leave the plug in grace, and the amplifier of fear goes silent, not by force, but by non-funding. We will look at that mechanism, for once you see how appearance borrows its megaphone from you, it becomes simplicity itself to smile, to rest, and to let the one power speak peace to the body's weather. Here is the little mechanic's lesson of mesmerism, as plain as a table radio. The symptom is a speaker, just a cone and a voice. Fear is the amplifier. Your attention and consent are the wall socket. When the plug is in, the hum swells, the voice grows larger than light, and the room fills with a drama that never belonged to the speaker. Pull the plug, and though the cone may tremble for a moment, the show is over. Do not smash the speaker. Do not argue with the cone. Do not pound the cabinet with verses. Withdraw the plug of fear, and the volume falls. This is not poetry. This is how authority works. There is only one power, and it is not in the amplifier of suggestion. Return power to the invisible, and the noise knows it has lost its current. Watch how the loop wires itself. A faint sensation arises, a whisper. The race belief of danger reaches for your switch and says, turn me up. You contribute wattage with what if and suppose. And more than all, with the grim face of consent. The nervous system, that faithful servant, reads your consent as command and goes to full alert. Nothing evil there, only obedience to your believed authority. But God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Transfer the governorship. Say not to flesh, but to mesmerism, thou hast no power. Smile at it. You owe it no tribute. That smile is not bravado. It is a sign to your biology that the throne has shifted. Government has moved from guest to God, from appearance to the infinite invisible. Let me make it practical, step by step, so you can see the wire and pull it. A sensation appears. Pause. Do not lunge. Smile at it. You owe it no tribute. Loosen the jaw. Let the shoulders drop their rank. Widen the lens. Feel the chair beneath. The floor faithful under your feet. The breath that arrives without your management. Whisper, be still, and know that I am God. Or here, as on Galilee, it is I, be not afraid. In that stillness, let the sword of the Spirit, not to hack at tissue, but to divide appearance from identity, do its quiet cutting. You are not the symptom. You are the consciousness in which it is reported. As this recognition dawns, the nervous system hears a new instruction: stand down. And it does, because it serves the highest voice it is given. Do not be disturbed if the cone still quivers for a minute. Without current, the sound is on borrowed time. Echo fades. Waves spend themselves on the sand. What changed? Authority changed. Consent was withdrawn. Fear lost its outlet. And the body followed consciousness, because effect follows cause. Perfect love casteth out fear, not by wrestling, but by out-realizing it. He sent his word and healed them. The word here is not syllables. It is felt governance. From this understanding, we cross naturally to practice. In a moment, we will enact the unplugging in real time, no performance, no strain, so that in the midst of sensation, you can abide, smile, withdraw the tribute, and watch the room grow quiet under the reign of one power. Now, let us do it not theatrics, not contest, a quiet demonstration in the very midst of sensation. We are not trying to make anything happen. We are letting what is true be felt as governor. Remember, practice replaces panic, realization precedes relief. So here is the order, here is the way. First, pause. Refuse the rush to interpret. Do not name. Do not predict. Do not bargain. Let the breath soften of itself, no forcing, just a loosening of the jaw, a gentle dropping of the shoulders, an unhurrying of the exhale. Take no thought for your life. Let that be literal in this moment. You are under no obligation to supply a meaning to a flicker. The speaker is making a sound. Do not hand it the script. Feel the chair faithful beneath you, the floor beneath the chair, the quiet between sound. This is not denial. This is the end of hasty storytelling. Second, smile, not bravado, not sarcasm, a small sign of non-tribute. Declare inwardly, there is only one power. Say it slowly until the words become a climate. There is only one power. Not two, not a tug-of-war in your chest. One. The moment you place that scepter back in the invisible, the body hears the change of governors. Third, withdraw consent. Address not flesh, but the mesmerism. Fear, thou hast no power, I do not feed thee. Say it kindly as one who turns off a switch. No argument, no scolding, simply, thou hast no power, I do not feed thee. In that very declaration, you unplug the amplifier. The cone may tremble, but the hum is dying. God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Let those three attend you now. Power without strain, love without grasping, a sound mind without hurry. Fourth, turn to presence. This is the heart of the practice. For 20 seconds, for 60, rest not as technique, but as recognition. Be still and know that I am God. Hear the old Galilee word rise within. It is I. Be not afraid. Let the sword of the Spirit quietly divide appearance from identity until you can feel like a subtle weight, a peace that does not ask your help. Do not check the symptom, check the sanctuary. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. If thought runs, smile and bring it back to the one who breathes you. Abide. Even 30 honest seconds in that company can turn weather. Fifth, if action is needed, let it arise under grace. Move without panic. Drink the water, make the call, take the step that presents cleanly, unhurriedly, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. The same act under fear multiplies fear. The same act under grace carries grace into the room. You will notice the tone of the body aligning. Breath lengthens, pulse remembers, thought clears. Do not chase the echo, stay with the cause. Practice replaces panic, realization precedes relief. And in that order, demonstration appears quietly, naturally, as sign following. Let me bear witness. A woman, let us call her Mara, which is not her name, sat late in a small room where the day's noise had not quite left her nerves. A tightness rose across the chest like a belt drawn one notch too far. At once the old orchestra struck up. What if, suppose, is this the time? The loop that loudens pain began to wire itself, symptom to fear, to amplification. The faithful body, taking its cues from believed authority, quickened. The mind, rummaging in old headlines, offered her a theater. Fear grips the world, and it was reaching for her switch, but she had learned another order. First, she paused. She refused to supply the scene with a name or a plot. No bargaining, no sprint to the cabinet. She let the jaw loosen and the shoulders set down their rank. A long exhale, not manufactured but permitted. Take no thought for your life. The speaker was making a sound. She declined to hand it a script. Second, a small smile, no bravado, a sign of non-tribute. Third, inwardly and slowly, there is only one power. Not two, not a tug of war in the chest. One, the words became a climate more than a sentence. Fourth, she withdrew consent. Not scolding flesh, but addressing mesmerism. Fear, thou hast no power, I do not feed thee. Kindly said as one who turns off a switch. In that very courtesy, the amplifier lost its current, and then the hinge, she turned to presence. Be still and know that I am God. Inwardly she heard the Galilee word, it is I, be not afraid. And she let the sword of the Spirit quietly divide appearance from identity. She did not check the symptom, she checked the sanctuary. A weight of peace, subtle but authoritative, settled in the room. Breath remembered itself. The belt eased a notch. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Out of that peace, a simple guidance rose clean, unhurried. Drink water. Open the window. Text a friend. All is well. I'm resting. Write a note. In the morning, call for a checkup, not to appease fear, but to honor wisdom. She slept not by might, nor by the tyranny of self-soothing, but by the Spirit's government. In the morning light, the body's weather was markedly softer. She kept her note, went calmly, and the visit was routine, the counsel measured, instruments served under grace. No rival thrones in that room. Do you see the lesson? Demonstrations follow realization. Peace precedes proof. Authority was replaced, and both outcomes, rest in the night and responsible care by day, flowed from one source, not two. I do not say this as a theorist. If I hadn't watched this rhythm year after year in homes and wards, in young students and old pilgrims, I could not speak so quietly now. But I have watched it. When one power is acknowledged and fear is seen as borrower, not owner, the body's weather reads the barometer of spirit. Perfect love casteth out fear. And where love governs, decisions are simple, steps are sure, and the signs follow like footprints behind a calm traveler. Peace first. Then the proof arrives as its echo. Now let the climate that settled your own room be extended beyond your skin. This is the holy work that requires no announcement. Do not preach. Silently hold. As you enter a room or answer a call or sit beside a bed, withdraw your fear first. Lay it down at the threshold. Let the inward word take its throne. There is only one power here, not two. Not spirit in a crisis. One power Your first gift is not your speech, it is your steadiness. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Let that peace, not your cleverness, set the tone. As you listen, give them your listening, not your alarm. Your non-fear becomes a shelter for others. When the beloved pours out pain, do not deny their feeling. Deny the claim of its authority. This you do silently in the heart sanctuary, even while your eyes are kind and your hand is warm. Be still and know that I am God. Say it within. Hold it as climate. If a word is needed, let it be few and tender. I am with you. All is well beneath this wave. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. No slogan, no contest with appearances. Remember how the Master touched the leper. He did not debate corruption. He beheld purity, and the touch itself carried non-fear. Perfect love casteth out fear. Love here is not sentiment. It is the recognition of one authority in the midst. Let the presence of the gentle Christ in you be the room's weather. I have watched this altar a household. A father, panicked by a midnight cough, rang a friend. The friend, before answering, paused, turned within, and anchored. There is only one power here. He spoke softly, asked for the simple facts, and the very cadence of his breathing crossed the wire. Where two or three are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. The child's breath settled. The mother found her bearings. The next right step became apparent without drama. This was not hypnosis. It was order. Spirit first, step second. Extend this non-fear with your eyes as much as your words. Let your gaze say, government has shifted. Let your posture refuse to fund panic. Sit close, breathe quietly, pray without performing. Do not move their furniture around, light the lamp. If you speak authority, speak it to mesmerism, not to flesh. Thou hast no power. If you speak comfort, speak it to the heart. The Lord is thy keeper. And if action is required, let it be companion to reliance, not competitor. Call who must be called. Drive where you must drive. Make the soup. Tidy the room. Keep the notes. Ask the wise questions under grace, not under dread. Let all things be done decently and in order. Instruments serve, they do not reign. Community care is not a rival to spiritual holding. It is one of its fruits. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Practice this silently wherever fear tries to enlarge itself in waiting rooms, on sidewalks, in boardrooms and kitchens. Do not teach this. Embody it. Live through the Spirit now. Turn to the Spirit for everything. React only to the Spirit. In time, you will see that your very presence becomes a covert chapel. Storms lower their voice under a roof they did not build. And as we move on, we will speak of wisdom, timing, and listening, how responsible care and reliance keep step as companions, not rivals, so that the shelter you offer is both warm with grace and sound with good sense. Now we come to the plain carpentry of living. Wisdom, timing, and listening. This is not taking sides. This is not pro this and anti that. Means are effects. They are not powers. There is only one power. When we keep that throne rightly seated, instruments do not strut, and fear does not govern. Steps are taken, but under grace. Responsibility and reliance are companions, not rivals. Let all things be done decently and in order. Honor safety. Love is not careless. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. Know the red flags, not to feed panic, but to let love move swiftly. If breath ceases and won't return, if crushing pain rises and spreads, if bleeding will not yield, if speech tangles and one side falls asleep, if confusion descends like a curtain call, go, open the door, and let help come. Do it in peace, not in terror. Render the step as you would turn on a light in a dark hall, calmly, promptly, without drama. The Lord is thy keeper. Keeper is not a theory. It is governance in the midst. You are not choosing between God and a phone, God and a door, God and a neighbor's hand. You are choosing God as governor of the whole scene. And under that government, the phone, the door, and the hand become servants of order. Let grace guide the when and the how. Timing born of fear is hurry and regret. Timing born of grace is simple. Sometimes the inward word says, now stand up, go, knock, call. Sometimes it says, rest, drink water, lie down, wait till morning, then attend. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. Listen for that Spirit's cadence. Move without advertising your virtue. Move without making the step a rival throne. The same act under fear magnifies fear. The same act under grace carries grace into the corridor, the car, the clinic. Guard against a new dependency. Do not convert spiritual practice into another pill, 3 verses every 4 hours, and call it faith. Pills are measured, grace is realized. We are not dosing mind with slogans. We are cultivating consciousness. Abide, study, pray, be still. Not as emergency gymnastics, but as the daily climate in which you live and move and have your being. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added, not extracted. As consciousness ripens, you will discover that you reach less for habits and more for presence, and steps arise out of that presence as quiet inevitabilities. I can speak plainly because I have watched this balance shorten nights and sweeten outcomes. If I hadn't seen it, I could not say it so quietly. Keep the boundary. One power on the throne means under it. Fear unfunded, safety honored, listening first, action flowing. With this balance secured, we cross from managing crises to abiding presence. The intervals between storms lengthen, then merge, until calm is not an episode, but a climate. And that is where we are going next. From flare and fix to living under a sky that remains clear because the government is upon his shoulder. Now let the way of crisis become the way of life, not flare and fix, but root and fruit. The intervals of relief begin to touch and then to overlap as we adopt the steady rhythms of the kingdom. Abide, study, pray, be still. Not as a rush to silence alarms, but as the daily climate in which you live and move and have your being. Abide in me, and I in you. Abiding is not occasional visitation. It is residence. It is breakfast with the invisible, noon hour recollection, evening thanksgiving, and between these quiet service that turns hands into prayer. Read until truth reads you. Sit until presence sits you. Offer the unnoticed kindness that keeps the doorway open for grace. This is beyond episodic fixes. This is a life under governance. The Master spoke of soils wayside, stony, thorned, and good. We are not condemned to remain rocky. We are invited to tend, pull a thorn a day. The fear habit, the grievance, the news that passes for prophecy. Break a stone a day. The stubborn certainty that effect is cause, that 2 powers contend. Water the furrows with attention that lingers in God more than it lingers in gauges. The kingdom of God is within you. As the heart softens, as roots descend into quiet, the word that once bounced off hard ground begins to take, and grace, which has always been present, finds fertile earth for its fruit. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace. Fruit is not an event. It is a season come of cultivation. Here the identity shifts. You are not a patient of symptoms waiting in the lobby for the next call of the bell. You are a practitioner of presence, a steward of climate. Your consciousness is your ministry. Live through the Spirit now. Turn to the Spirit for everything. React only to the Spirit. You will notice the weather of the body behaves itself under this governance, not because you glare at clouds, but because you have learned the sky. One with God is a majority. Climate changes, not merely weather. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Renewed mind, renewed climate. When fear rattles the fence, you do not bolt the door as a stranger. You smile as a householder whose lamp is already lit. Make appointments with God as faithfully as you keep any other. A page of Scripture that becomes a window, a quiet half hour where be still and know that I am God is not a phrase but an atmosphere, a small, regular service that no one applauds, washing the cup, lifting a burden, writing a note of mercy. This tills the field, this thickens the peace until storms must pass through forests, not over bare rock. And when a gust does come, you find that intervals have stretched. The air clears by law, not luck. Peace first, then the proof. Let us seal this in practice and in promise. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Receive it as climate, not sample. Carry it to your doorways and your errands. Sit inside it when you answer a call. Walk in it as you order your day. The government is upon his shoulder. Go in this steadiness, and as you go, you are commissioned. Be a quiet sky over your own house and over another's. Abide, and the intervals between storms become the climate of peace. And now, with hearts made ready, we lift our gaze to the gentle Christ who calms the body's weather, and we receive the benediction that confirms what we have practiced. Beloved, let us seal what we have learned in the simplest, strongest way. We do not deny symptoms. We deny their authority. We meet them with reverence, not surrender. Authority belongs to spirit. There is only one power, not two powers battling in your body, one power governing as quiet law. Peace. Be still. The gentle Christ within is sufficient to calm the body's weather, sufficient to govern the mind's sea, sufficient to steady the hand that takes the next wise step. My grace is sufficient for thee, sufficient enough for this moment, enough for this night, enough for the morning yet to rise. Now hear the imperatives that have become our way. Live through the Spirit now. Turn to the Spirit for everything. React only to the Spirit. Be still and know that I am God, not as phrases, but as government. Let the sword of the Spirit, not the blade of fear, not the knife of hurry divide appearance from identity and return the scepter to the invisible. The government shall be upon his shoulder. When government shifts, weather shifts. When the throne is restored within, the winds know their boundary. I invite you to a simple, holy experiment for 7 days. In every twinge, small or large, withdraw fear's plug and rest 60 seconds in presence. Only 60. Pause. Smile a sign of non-tribute. Whisper within, there is only one power. Then, for that minute, do not check the symptom. Check the sanctuary. It is I. Be not afraid. If in that stillness a step rises, drink the water, call the friend, open the window, make the appointment, take it under grace without drama. If no step rises, abide and let the wave run to shore without your wattage. Do this each time fear reaches for your switch. 7 days of unfunding the amplifier, 60 seconds at a time. Prove me now herewith, says the Lord, not by argument, but by quiet practice. And be assured as you go, the presence of the gentle Christ is sufficient to calm the storms of life. He maketh the storm a calm, so that the waves thereof are still. Perfect love felt, not performed, casteth out fear. Let that love keep your gate. Let that peace garrison your mind. Let that grace be the unseen current beneath every visible act. Now receive the benediction. May God's grace work through you quietly, confidently, kindly. May your rooms learn your non-fear. May your steps be timely and your words few. The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee and give thee peace. Rest in the One. Live through the Spirit. Turn to the Spirit. React only to the Spirit. The only power is the gentle Christ within. Abide there and let fear fall silent. Amen.